Hey folks, and welcome to another episode of Crit Hit Reviews with your host, Arlyeon. On today's episode, I'll be talking about the review copy received of SomePx's puzzle platformer, namely Mekabolt. Find out if I had trouble wrenching myself away from this title, or if it felt like it left me with a few screws loose. You take the role of a theme park technician tasked with keeping things running smoothly from day to day. Unfortunately, you discover this seemingly mundane title also includes wrangling a horde of robots gone rampant. Probably because their engineer was cribbing notes from Dr. Wily. That said, beyond briefly introducing the player to this background, there's not a whole lot of time spent on fleshing it out, with the narrative taking a backseat to the experience of playing. As far as gameplay experiences go, Mekabolt's fairly easy to get into. As the player, you're tasked with simply clearing each of its 96 stages by collecting the batteries at the end of each stage. To that end, you're armed with, well, not that much you need to learn, really. Things are fairly basic in the movement department, given it's your directions and jumping, with the main nuance being the proper usage of your pistol, the Mekabolt. And I do specify proper usage, because while you're armed, you sure as heck aren't dangerous. See, the pistol's purpose is not to dismantle mechanical foes you face, but rather to either disable them or swap their direction around. It can also helpfully activate switches or traps by, not having it activate in your face. Which helps a fair bit, really, given that each stage is full of traps and enemies, of the instantaneous lethal variety, which does make the quick retries rather appreciated. That said, I didn't find the game overly challenging as a whole, as breezing through the game in approximately an hour was entirely a thing that happened. If anything, as I passed into a new zone and was introduced to the obstacles and traps that are unique to the area, I felt as though the difficulty took a back step, making for a somewhat inconsistent feeling experience with only a sparse handful of stages providing any real degree of challenge over the course of my adventure. Still, I will say that I did find the open-ended approach they had to advancement enjoyable, as you can choose to tackle the different zones as soon as you have a handful of batteries, making things a bit more open-ended in the order you need to tackle levels. Also, Mekabolt's soundtrack is pretty catchy, in an infectiously upbeat type of way. It never really managed to grate on my nerves, but that might also be due to the fact that the game itself doesn't last all that long. Like its soundtrack, the game's presentation is also altogether cute, and I find it to be a pleasant enough title to look at. Wrapping all this up, I have to say, Mekabolt isn't bad. It's a short title to be sure, and left me wanting a lot more from it, both in the form of overall content as well as simply challenge. I ended up coming away from completing all the levels with a distinct feeling that it could have been a lot more challenging and engaging, which is why I ultimately ended up coming away with the feeling that this was a fumble. If you're absolutely craving a puzzle platformer and just want one to poke at for the afternoon, Mekabolt's a decent way to whet your appetite, but as an experience, it's ultimately an appetizer. Anywho, thanks for tuning in. If you agree, disagree, or just have something to say to me, feel free to comment. And for those interested in more indie reviews, developer interviews, podcasts, our Monday TTRPG content, hit the subscribe button and the bell so you know when there's a new release. There's also a Discord. You can click the link in the banner or the description to become a part of our community, the Crit Hit Cauldron. Lastly, if you'd like to help support the channel, we do have a coffee running now to help supplement funds for our lovely editor, Jack, and to make sure we continue to provide quality content and, have a roof over our heads. Again, check the description plus the banner for them links. Anywho, I'll catch you on the next episode of Crit Hit. Take care till then, folks.